Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are joining. We have our first mentorship panel, and we are very thrilled to have you here today. We bring a diverse group of accomplished panelists from various fields who are eager to share their experiences, insights, and advice. This is a brand new initiative for IPA, and we will have an event in Buenos Aires, Argentina in September during our annual meeting. And we really hope that you join us over there. So this is just the beginning. We are going to learn a lot of things this morning. We have a fabulous panelists joining us from many places. And we encourage you to ask questions, engage in the discussion, and take advantage of this opportunity to learn from their expertise. Let's make the most about this session and foster connections that will inspire and support our growth. We have two IPA leaders and board members, Professor Liat Ayalon, who is a clinical psychologist and researcher in the social work area in Israel. So she is going to be leading this panel. And Dr. Kiran Ribeiro, who is a full professor of psychiatry and a geriatric psychiatrist at the University of Ottawa. I'm going to introduce one of our speakers, Dr. Nadine Kaslow, who is a friend and a colleague and a mentor. I could say that I wouldn't be where I am without her. And that's what mentors are. They encourage you, they help you grow, they help you go forward in your career. So Dr. Kaslow is a professor and vice chair for faculty development at Emory University School of Medicine. She's the past president at the American Psychological Association and the recipient for multiple federally funded grants. She has over 370 publications, has co-edited several books related to psychology education, but most importantly, relevant to these panelists, she is a consummate mentor. She is a mentor and has developed a fabulous program at my institution on mentorship, leads the faculty development, she leads the promotion committee, and that all is a reflection of how engaged she is in mentorship. We really appreciate having you this morning, Nadine. She's going to give us an overview of what is mentorship. And then it follows up by a panel led by Kiran and Liat. So without further ado, let's start with Dr. Kaslow. Take it away, Dr. Kaslow, and thank you again for being here today.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Hermida. And what I would say about being a mentor is when you have a mentee like Dr. Hermida, your sole job is to provide sunlight and water, and they just flourish. So it's easy to do that with somebody like Dr. Hermida. So I want to just talk briefly about mentoring, what it is, benefits of it for mentors, for mentees, and then we'll hear from our panel. So what is mentoring? Well, it's voluntary, and it's an ongoing process where somebody in the traditional sense facilitates the growth of a less experienced colleague, providing guidance, support, and they benefit the individual, the mentor, the institution, in this case, IPA as well. These are interactions that can occur anywhere, anytime. We now know they can occur virtually, they can occur out to dinner, they can occur at conferences, but it's formal, informal, and it definitely includes professional and social activities. So certainly at international meetings, a lot of it has to do with introducing people to people and spending time together at dinner or coffee or things like that. There are multiple models of mentoring. We don't have time to talk about all of them, but I just want to acknowledge that while I'm going to be talking mostly about traditional mentoring, it's only one form of mentoring. There's also peer mentoring, developmental mentoring networks, which is a newer, more increasingly popular notion, speed mentoring, and other forms of mentoring. But what I want to talk about in the limited time we have today is traditional mentoring. That's where you have a more senior person and a more junior person. There's lots of different roles of a mentor in this regard. There are career roles, and those include being a teacher, a coach, a protector, a sponsor, a challenger. And a good mentor combines multiple of these roles. There's also these sort of more psychosocial functions, being a role model for people, being a supporter, being a friend. I know there's lots of social workers and psychiatrists and psychologists in this call. Being a therapist is not on this list. So there's lots of other roles, but that's not one of them. But I do think a lot of the skills that we use in our day-to-day practice are invaluable for being a really good mentor. It's critical as mentors to create, I believe, a safe space, one that invites people to be trusting, to be open, and ultimately that it becomes very much of a collaborative partnership. Good mentors listen, they're honest and open themselves. They give a lot of support, validation, and they really empower people or put people in a frame of mind where they can excel and do their best. It's very important for mentors to elicit people's feelings, their needs, and to be sounding boards to help people set realistic goals. And I think about these as goals that are attainable. They can be stretch goals, but they're definitely attainable. And that is based on what the person's life is, both personal life and professional life. It's really important to give honest, constructive feedback to our mentees. Obviously, that to model high moral character, to be as non-judgmental as we possibly can be, to maintain confidentiality. I would say 99% of the time, unless you agree, you're going to take the information outside the mentoring relationship and really take them under your wing and empower them to fly. We want to make sure our mentees are progressing well, that they have clear goals and activities that we encourage them to do that help them reach these goals. Help teach them or to point out with them, help them understand various pathways forward and the pitfalls with each of these. And we can suggest lots of different activities that may help them along the way. We want them to find new ways to conceptualize their work. I've already mentioned, introduce them to other people. And it's critically important in this work that we attend to issues of difference, whether that's demographic differences, cultural differences, that we acknowledge our own identities, provide a space where they can talk about theirs, and understand how those identities impact people's experiences, opportunities, and the like. Good mentors offer advice, suggestions. They can be nurturing, they're role models, expect people to advance or improve, and demand the best. They do not direct, smother, expect perfection, which we all know is unattainable, accept mediocrity or less, or distance themselves from their mentees. So in many ways, it's like being a good teacher, being a good parent. We talk a lot about mentees selecting mentors, but I think it works the other way. I think mentors also look for people who are, quote, like them in some ways. I think we have to be really careful about this because I think historically that has meant that certain people haven't received mentoring. And so I think we need to think broadly about how one might be like us. They have similar interests to us, similar goals to us. Not necessarily that they look like us. There's some kind of relational attraction. We kind of like each other. We click, we connect. And they have shared sense of experiences, values, expectations. I think we look for people as mentors who we think have potential. They have strengths that they can capitalize on, but they have potential. How well do they fit? How risky is it going to be? And sometimes we'll take more risk on somebody because we can see that there could be a payoff downstream. And I think, one of the biggest benefits of mentoring are those intrinsic benefits, just the pride that we experience. There are countless benefits of being a mentor. I think those of us who do it really get satisfaction from developing colleagues and improving our institutions or organizations. As I mentioned, taking pride in their achievements. I will sometimes notice that I'm kind of beaming with pride or smiling when a mentee is really doing remarkably well. I think people who mentor also themselves have more productive collaborations. They're more likely to advance themselves, although I don't think that's why people mentor. And they tend to stay in their roles, whatever they are, for a longer period of time because it's more gratifying. Their lives are more gratifying. So that's from the mentor perspective. What about from the mentee perspective? Well, good mentees are people who assume responsibility for their own growth and development. They're able to capitalize on their strengths. They're ambitious, motivated, independent, and they have a good attitude. They take a lot of initiative, they're proactive. There's often the question of who contacts who. And I would say at the beginning, the mentee needs to reach out and show initiative and get started. Over time, the mentor will also reach out to check in, to offer congratulations, to provide support. Good mentees persevere in the face of challenges, which we all encounter in our professional lives and personal lives. They want new opportunities. And so when mentors suggest things, they're willing to try new things. They either have clarity about their goals or sometimes they don't, but they're willing to work with the mentor to get that clarity about their goals and then to work hard in reaching their goals. They seek advice from their mentor and from other people, and they value that input. They're receptive to it. They respect boundaries, but they're also not afraid to ask for help. And quite frankly, they convey that they're grateful. They show appreciation. I was just noticing as we wind down our training years that mentees writing a little card and saying thank you can go a very long way. So how do mentees pick mentors? I think they often seek out somebody with a similar area of focus. They watch, listen, and learn about people, who they are as professionals, but who they are personally. What kind of insight do they have? How productive are they? How available are they? To sort of seek out somebody who might fill that role. They interact with them and get a sense of how those interactions go and how it feels to work with somebody. Often people, when they're trying to find a mentor, will seek opportunities for informal interactions to sort of get a sense of, does this feel like this might be a good fit? And then I think they work toward formalizing the relationships. When there's a more formal mentoring program, then the organization or institution may do the assignments, and then people sort of have to nurture those relationships. None of us can do it with just one mentor. Nobody can provide us everything. And so I think it is essential that people have a mentoring team, a cadre of mentors. That's going to increase the opportunities that the likelihood that mentees are going to get many different experiences that is possible and that a variety of needs met. Somebody may be very good helping me get grants and somebody else may be good sort of supporting me emotionally when I'm having a difficult time navigating a tough situation. The team can serve as a safety net if somebody's having a hard time or having a hard time with a particular mentor. Different people have different strengths and can fulfill different needs. And different mentors can also be key to our professional network. And so while you're talking about mentoring within IPA, that's going to give people mentors within their field of specialization and at an international and global level. And people may also have, say, institutional mentors. The research shows that there are lots of benefits of being a mentee. There are people's sort of personal development. It can be enhanced, get a lot of career guidance, much more productive. There's quite a bit of evidence that people with good mentoring relationships have more publications, greater grant success, but also that they become more confident. They get better evaluations. Their salaries are better. Their career progress is better and they get promoted more quickly. And maybe most importantly, they're more satisfied and happier with their careers. As I've mentioned, mentoring relationships can be structured or informal, and that's going to depend on the participants. For them to be positive, they really need to be two-way processes. The mentoring relationships that I value the most are the ones where we're both really engaged collaboratively, and I get as much as I give. They need to evolve over time. It may start in one way, it evolves over time. And that means defining the relationship together. What are each person's roles? What are the frequencies of meetings? What do we each expect from each other? I think it's really helpful to outline your goals, outcomes, expectations, and responsibilities. You can do that in writing, orally, or a combination of the two. And to be really clear, even in the context of the mentoring relationship, that this is one of many, or one of several mentoring relationships, and that you're going to be talking to other people as well, and that's fine and acceptable. And if you get different advice, that you may go back to people and say, I got different advice. Can we try to figure this out? What makes most sense? So when I talked about some of the benefits of being a mentor and being a mentee, I think there are also shared benefits. And I think one of the most important of these shared benefits is something that is my understanding that IPA really values. And that's the notion of intergenerational solidarity. And I think when we apply that to the mentoring relationship, where intergenerational solidarity is sort of older and younger people working together, I think that what it does in the context of mentoring is it capitalizes on the strengths of all parties, the mentor, the mentee. It fosters close collaboration, but also simultaneously supports autonomy. And mentees want to be sure they have increasing amounts of autonomy, but it's really important to mentors as they advance in their careers to feel like they have autonomy as well. It really promotes for both people sharing of ideas and experience, and it enriches people's collective knowledge and wisdom. And it prevents social and professional isolation. So we're going to take questions at the end, but I guess I just want to conclude with saying that mentoring, being a mentor, is fun, rewarding, engaging, and I believe essential. And in addition, being mentored is fun, rewarding, engaging, and essential. Thank you very much. And I'm going to turn it over to the moderators for the panel. I'd be happy to take questions at the end.
Thank you so much, Dr. Caslow. I think it was a really wonderful introduction to our program, which is still work in progress. So I think it was really great to learn about some of the benefits and some of the opportunities that such a relationship can provide us with. We will go now to introducing our panel members. We have 3 members who come from diverse fields and different levels of training and mentoring, mentees relationship. Our first panelist is Joanne Lee. Thank you.
Hi, my name is June Lee. I'm a subspecialty resident in geriatric psychiatry at the University of Toronto in Canada. It's actually my last day of residency/fellowship today, so it's an incredibly exciting time, and I'm going to be working in Toronto after this, and I'll be participating today as an early career stage mentee, and I look forward to sharing my experiences and also learning from other panelists today.
Thank you. Dr. Banerjee, you're next.
Yeah, hello everyone. I'm Dr. Debanjan Banerjee. I'm a geriatric psychiatrist from India, and I also work with the IPA. I work primarily in the area of human rights in older people, and I think this is a very interesting forum, and I thank the IPA for having me in here, and looking forward to more reflections about both mentoring and being a mentor.
Thank you. And our last speaker, Dr. Aline Rosowski.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm a psychologist and a professor emeritus at William James College, and my research has been with Harvard Medical School for over 40 years, so I'm a senior person. My research has been primarily in late life personality disorders, and I was privileged to be a Fulbrighter in the Netherlands and China. and became very interested in how difficult personalities, older adults, are served and treated in different cultures. I'm currently on the Fulbright board and have been active in American Society of Aging, a fellow of GSA, Gerontological Society of America, and have become, was one of the originators of psychology and long-term care, and have developed a mentoring program that's being initiated even as we speak in older adults, older professionals preparing for retirement and what happens to us when that happens. So we'll speak more about that later, and very appreciative. I've been a member of IPA since 1993 and have in the last few years become very much more involved with great pleasure.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much to each of the panelists, and of course to Dr. Kaslow for that wonderful introduction. I am going to begin. I'm going to post something on the chat, and we discussed this as a possible or proposed vision statement for mentorship at the IPA. So it's just for your reflection, and I would appreciate your comments at the end of this discussion if you have any ideas of how to refine it, with picking up all the salient features of what Dr. Kaslow has said, that really our hope is to bridge and connect various generations of clinicians, IPA members, through this mentorship program to foster their mutual growth and cultivate a vibrant community where both older and younger members can learn, can thrive, and inspire each other. And with the support of IPA, we hope to create a hub that can facilitate these connections and enrichment. So that's kind of where we're going with this, but it's not fully formed. And if you have any thoughts on how we can improve or refine this, we would really appreciate it. So let me begin by asking the panelists the first question. Would you please tell us a particularly impactful experience or a moment in your mentorship journey and why this was so impactful? And the order we're going to do it is to start with Dr. Lee and to Dr. Banerjee, and then to Dr. Okay, I'm losing my memory here. I'm sorry, Arlene. I know her first name, but sorry, Arlene, I can't pronounce your last name properly. My apologies. So June.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ribeiro. I'd really like to share how mentorship started for me and reflect on it. And I'm speaking today mainly on the mentorship with Dr. Kieran Ribeiro, actually, particularly on advocacy and the intergenerational experiences that I've had. So in 2022, Dr. Ribeiro was presenting at a conference on dignity and human rights-based care. And I think Dr. Banerjee, you were presenting as well virtually there. And there was another presentation on coping with ageism. I was very inspired by both of these presentations because I was always interested in human rights, but I was reflecting a lot on my personal interactions with patients who I felt at the beginning of my training, I wasn't maybe connecting very well. More often than not, people would ask, "You're so young," and I'm working primarily with older people. And perhaps I myself was holding an ageist perspective that maybe I wasn't going to have the best therapeutic relationship. So this presentation made me reflect quite a bit. And I think Dr. Ribeiro saw my eyes glisten, and I was asking some questions after the presentation. And he said, "Contact me if you're interested." And then I emailed, and here we are now. I really knew nothing about advocacy or ageism. And Dr. Ribeiro encouraged me to read, provided me with a lot of resources, gave me lots of opportunities to participate, and he brought me into national initiatives. We recently hosted the Ageism Forum in Ottawa, and internationally, I'm participating in initiatives at the United Nations level. So it's been extremely impactful, fun, a big learning journey, and all of this done through Zoom, which I find is very fun that we can do this. So I wanted to sort of share that experience and really realize and recognize how valuable it has been for me, even from the start, and the reflections that I've had through the mentorship.
Thank you very much, June. Debanjan, would you like to comment on your journey?
Thank you so much, Dr. Robiru. And I think I'd like to mention 2 points of my career. One is when I started with the specialization in geriatric psychiatry. In India, we have a 3 years postgraduate, like post-MD super specialization. And I was lucky to be the first batch of that at our Apex Institute of NIMHANS, Bangalore. Now, at that time, I kind of wondered that what different would I gain from a 3 years super specialized course in geriatric psychiatry, because I thought that maybe I'd seen enough in my MD times. But I remember our HOD at that time, Senior Professor Matthew Verghese, he has retired. But I remember the first thing that he told me that, if you really have to practice psychiatry and mental health of older people, it cannot be restricted in your chamber. You have to move out and you have to reach the communities to understand, and their homes to understand residential care. I think that was one of the points which stuck me, that this is how probably care for older people are different. And I'll never forget till date the contribution that the statement and his mentorship had made. And today I realized that had I not gone through those 3 years, I'd have probably only restricted myself to terms and a medical model of many things. Ageism, advocacy, human rights were certain things which gradually came in. The second point was when I became a member of the IPA 3 years back. And again, I'd like to point that to Dr. Robiru. She was one of the first persons I interacted with. Now, practicing as a clinician is very different from being a part of an international association like IPA, where you collaborate and work together with many people. So I think really kind of the interaction that we had, the first collaboration was one of the chapters, one of the papers in the special issue on ageism, the American Journal of Geriatric Psychiatry. And that's how I kind of received his mentorship. And I think it went a long way in helping me understand that it's not only about being a clinician, but it's also about being a collaborator, especially when you are at a juncture where you are both mentoring as well as being a mentee. So it was quite a good experience all throughout.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Debanjan. And Dr. Brzezowski, did I say that correctly? I apologize.
You did, but Karen, Arlene is fine. So
okay, my apologies, Arlene. Over to you. Over to you.
I've in preparation for today. I went way back to an early time in my career, way back. I was just finished my postdoc, and I was involved in a research study, and I was writing up my very first hopeful to publish piece. The study, I have to say, had a very small end, and the results suggested just a mild trend toward any reasonable significance, but it was going to be my first paper. And I worked so hard on it. I'm sure many of you can understand. I wanted it to be as perfect as possible before I showed it to my mentor. So I listed his name and made sure the spelling was correct. His position in the medical school was annotated, and mine was, and it was formatted okay. And I gave it to him, and he went into his office and he read it. And then he came out, and I was a little scared, of course. And he said that he really said the paper was very good, and that he had no corrections or additions or deletions except for one. Okay. And then he said it was the sequence of authors that he said, Arlene, you designed the methodology, you ran the study, you analyzed the data, you wrote the paper. And to him, even though he was the head of the department, and I was a research associate, just recent postdoc, that it qualified me as the first author. I think looking back, I know looking back, that at some level that was a significant step of my understanding the morals, the ethics, the good behavior of being a researcher and a cooperative worker with colleagues, that has stood me in good stead through a long career. As I progressed, he was the one I would run to whenever anything was successful, and more times things weren't. He was the one I leaned on, and he shepherded me through the weeds and supported me and kept me brave. But no, people get old, even mentors. And a few years ago, my beloved mentor started to exhibit cognitive changes, which progressed very rapidly in a frank dementing disorder. And there came a point, it's hard for me to even talk about it, when he didn't know my name and he didn't know who I was. And I question now, what happens when the voice of our mentor becomes stilled? And do they become a quiet angel sitting on our shoulder and whispering into our ear for as long as we are? And now that I am an old person, I wonder if my mentees will remember me, will remember our work together, and carry my voice with them through their professional journey. And I hope that I've been worthy of that.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much to each of you for sharing your amazing reflections. You've made some really interesting and very touching points. They're not just cognitively, but it's emotionally touching to each of us that you have formed these special relationships and bonds with people, and they become very important people in your life. They add another dimension to the life you have. And it's intergenerational, but it's also interprofessional, and it's not monogamous. You don't have to have just one person in your life, as Dr. Kaslow had said. So with those points, I'd like to turn the floor over to Liat for the second question. Liat?
Thank you. So basically, when we started today, Dr. Kaslow gave us an overview of how mentoring relationship looks like and what are some of the advantages. But I think that we would like to really hear about your hands-on experiences with this relationship, and what are some of the challenges that you experienced, which we haven't really discussed yet, but also some of the strengths and benefits that you found in this relationship. And we'll start with you, June. Thank you.
Thank you. It was actually really great to listen to Dr. Kaslow's initial the slides about mentorship and the benefits and challenges, because that made me reflect again. I think as someone in very early stage of my career, and there is this concept of mentorship as being part of like the program, the academic program that I'm in. I need to build mentors. I need to make sure I have mentors in this and that. It feels like a checklist. And actually, when I actually I'm talking about again with my mentorship with Dr. Rivero, when we met, it was very natural, fluid, unstructured. But I actually turned the mentorship into part of a scholarly project that I have through my fellowship program, because I wanted some recognition from my program that I am doing some amazing work. And perhaps because of this, the challenge was that in a way I was thinking, am I being a good mentor? Am I reaching out enough? Am I doing enough? Am I making sure that I'm committed to this? So I had all these thoughts. They were challenging, but I think it turned into benefits, because if it wasn't for having those checklists in my brain about the mentorship, I wonder if I would have been a good mentee or reaching out better. So there were challenges, but they became benefits, all because I structured this unstructured mentorship. So it's interesting to see those slides and reflect on it, because at the end of the day, it turned into something that I really value now. And I really recognize the importance of commitment and respect that I have with my mentors.
Thank you. Debanjan, we would love to hear from you some of your challenges and also benefits that you found in mentoring-mentee relationship.
Yeah, thank you. I think I would talk about perspective from kind of my place of my stage in the career now. I have this feeling, and I was also hearing from Dr. Castro's presentation, that it's a continuous process, a dynamic relationship between the mentor and mentee, and it continues, and I think both evolves with the period of time. Today, when I have students or residents whom I mentor, as well as I look up to my mentors who are still there, it's always, kind of a transition process. And as we were discussing the earlier day, I somehow feel that possibly somebody very senior in career or someone who is probably not that much reachable to the juniors, I kind of serve as a transition to help them with the guidance or help that they could have received from very senior professors or mentors. So it's always about evolving or growing in that process. As I think June was mentioning, that it's not a static process. Sometimes we also receive psychosocial help from our mentors and emotional support at difficult times. It's not just always restricted to professional areas. And one of the challenges I face is definitely sometimes I feel whether I'm doing justice as a mentor to people whom I am mentoring, whether they are probably getting enough benefits that I receive being a mentee myself. So it's, a continuous reflective process for career building, development, growth, self-development also. But somehow I feel that as a mentor, I've not realized this before, you enrich yourself a lot when you are mentoring as well. So it's a continuous process of self-growth and self-development. We always say that teaching is the best form of learning. I think it is in all domains. And I'm thankful that I am probably in the middle stage of my career because I kind of gain from both the processes while the challenges are there. But it's amazing to continuously be in this process for your own development as well as the development of your mentees.
Thank you. And now we will hear from Erlene about her experiences.
Yeah. I think the relationship was beautifully described by Dr. Caslow, who talks about what I think is key, which she was talking about two-way communication. Well, bidirectionality is key too. Initially, there's a hierarchical component that the mentor is more experienced guidance person. But going forward over time, as an older person who's a mentor to people late in their career, they're achieved greater parity in the relationship. There's less hierarchical. So there's a little bit of a difference. And also hearing today from our colleagues who are early career and mid-career, early career, that's very often building up one's sense of strength, of the fear. Often I hear is being an imposter, not being good enough or trained enough, or as reflected young and dealing with older adults, and is that good enough? And how do I use my voice when I'm a little person in the department or practice, etc. In mid-career, it's a time of solidifying one's interests and one's position in the profession and being able to function professionally with greater confidence. But what transcends all of it, one thing is balancing life, which is tough. Balancing the professional self, especially during the earlier years when it's so ambitious and growth-filled. But a mentor can be the shepherd that helps the mentee through the challenges. And I like the word shepherd. I just caught myself using it because it speaks to both leading and containing when you think of what a shepherd does. In late career, I think that the special relationship approaches, as I said, greater parity, but the key issue is usually developing a self-defining role, or when a big self-defining role, one's professional career seems to be ending. And this is done, and this is very important in IPA, it's done against a backdrop of societal ageism, and different development, different cultural recognitions and of being separated from one's active career. And those of us in psychiatry, psychology, social work at this level, we're so defined by that. And so how do we go on and keep our sense of self while respecting our legacy, as well as the very real limitations and accommodations we have to go through with being an older person? We still need to matter in old age. And I think that's a big part of what the mentoring is for that in older people.
Thank you. I was thinking that the mentor also has the role as a shepherd also of protecting the herd, you know?
Yes.
So it's not only containing and leading, it's
Right.
also protecting. But
Good. Yes, yes.
Kieran, you're welcome.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. Fascinating, very rich discussion. Thank you so much. I am mindful of the time, so we have one more sort of question that I'd like to run by all three of you. But my request is to be as concise as possible. I'm going to add just one little twist to the question. I'd like you to also comment on what role you think IPA can play on your evolving mentorship journey. What insights do you have for people who are interested in mentorship, and how you think we can make this happen? I know we're planning an in-person meeting in Buenos Aires, but I'm hoping that everyone on this call will be there, and if they can't come, certainly be part of this movement to grow the mentorship program. So over to you, June.
Thanks, Dr. Rivero. I think how things are going to evolve, it's difficult to say, but I'm hopeful that I'll become a stronger advocate and focus on my career development and work through all of this with my mentors. A final insight that I have is really don't be afraid to try new things, go to conferences like the IPA conference, join all the seminars and workshops, because this is an opportunity where I'm meeting people of all stages of their careers. I never thought that I'd be working with someone who's so accomplished and well-known in the field. I was very focused on my local mentors, getting support from them through clinical work, but really broadening that and going international has really made me realize that there's a lot more than just what I can do and achieve in the local setting. So I think IPA is an excellent way to do that and to build a career, and having this mentorship really can help grow a career. And I'm just really excited to continue to be participating and to be part of IPA.
Thank you. Thanks, June. Debanjan, how do you think your journey will evolve, and how can we leave this world a better place with your work in IPA? Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. I really like this analogy with the shepherd, Dr. Arlene, and I so much resonate with it. I personally feel that I think there's still a lot to learn, to understand in this field, especially in the area of human rights and ageism. I face the same thing as to being a person probably of a lower age. It's always trying to start charity at home, try to get yourself out of those thoughts and then work towards it. But I'm hopeful, and I wish that as a part of IPA, I would probably want to reach out more and more for advocating the message for rights of older persons and kind of set an example through my own work with the help of my mentors. With regards to how IPA can be a part of this, I just would like to highlight 3 points briefly. One, to have more meetings such as this with people in different stages of career, in-person meetings in our congresses where connect to both, younger and senior persons. And I think it's also about leadership and mentorship. So I would really look forward to if we can hold brief meetings or workshops by senior mentors as to how they would like us to mentor the younger generations. So mentorship skills, I think, will be very important, and I'd like to come across and learn more of them in my journey forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Debanjan. And Arlene, over to you. And I think you're going to focus on this, that ageism, to combat ageism everywhere in the world, we need to bring the generations together. I think that's probably going to be one of your recommendations, but over to you.
Absolutely. Well, mentoring is not supervision, but it's a little supervision, and it's not consultation, but it's a little consultation, and it's not psychotherapy, but it certainly is when 2 people sit in a room and help each other and one is there to be helped. But mentoring is also a special kind of friendship, and it's a special kind of growth promoting food nutrient. There we go. And it's a little spiritual relationship too, and certainly a kind of love. And I think that IPA writ large is an institution, an organization that can embrace all those pieces for its members. And what a terrific add-on and privilege of membership when we are successful on this terrific initiative. And I think it's going to be well used and terrific. And I agree very, very much that embedded in that is awareness and recognition of ageism, internal and external, and also the intergenerational bidirectionality, so that we can hear from our young members what they need from us who have our older members and more experienced, and from us to know as mentors what they need from us to be their mentors. You asked in the beginning how one's mentorship, our mentorship has evolved over the career. And I guess I would say that it's still evolving and still evolvable, if that's even a word. And so the intergenerational piece is I think the project, Karen, is going to be terrifically successful. There's a need for it institutionally, and we are in perfect position to promote that.
Thank you. Thanks so much. Liat, over to you. And just keeping in mind, we need to have a couple of minutes for Nadine to comment as well. But over to you, Liat.
Sure. So I think that now is the time to ask our audience actually to comment and to see if people here have some questions, either to Nadine or to the panelists. And we're very open to hear actually your thoughts. And I think this is the major goal of this session today, to get some input from you. And I see that we have one comment in the chat. We have Chris comment inviting people to make comments over the chat. I think it will be wonderful for us to hear your voice, because I have more questions, and I'm sure that Kieran has more questions and thoughts about that, but we would really like to get you to talk about what it is that you need, or reflections.
I don't see any hands up or questions in the chat. So I'm wondering, while people are reflecting on the questions they'd like to ask, if Dr. Kaslow would like to make some comments in the meantime. Is that okay? Dr. Kaslow?
Sure. Well, I want to thank the 3 of you. It was really interesting. I loved the sort of intergenerational perspective. And so I just want to add a few thoughts that I had, maybe reflecting on my own mentors that I received. One is that I think, in a way, good mentors are always available to us. And I'll share two stories very quickly in this regard. The first time I sat on a study section for the National Institute of Mental Health, I was relatively early in my career, but I was probably already an associate professor, and my mentor was also on the study section. And I reviewed a grant, and a very senior person was the first reviewer. I was the third or fourth. I disagreed with them the first go around, but then when we got to the discussion, I backed down. And after the review, there was a break. I came out of the restroom, and my mentor was standing there, and he said, "Don't you ever do that again. Don't you ever get intimidated by a senior person. Your intimidation meant you threw a junior person's career under the bus." And that takes a very trusting relationship to be able to do that. I'm not sure anybody else could have done or said that to me in that moment. And I think I did my best after that, never to do that again. And I think that is a role of a mentor. And I think it's also a role of a good mentee. And so we need this throughout our entire careers, and people to keep guiding us along the way. So that was one reflection that I had. And I guess the other was sort of, how do we pay it forward to our mentors as well? And I think Arlene was sort of talking a little bit about that, but I remember throwing a feshrift for this same mentor when he was retiring, and inviting back 40 years worth of his mentees, and everybody provided, talked about their research, but also about him as a mentor. And he called me the week before and said, "I don't know why there's a panel on me as a mentor. I've read all these things, and it says they provide support, and they provide this, and they provide that." And he's like, "I'm not nurturing. I'm not supportive. I didn't provide those kinds of things." And I was like, "Yeah, but that's only one definition of a mentor. And a good mentor can do lots of different things. And you have you have countless people that are coming back because they saw you as your mentor." And realizing for yourself that you don't have to be every one of those things we're talking about. You can be some of those things and do those really well.
Thanks so much, Liat.
I just wanted to reflect that I feel like I've taken a lot from this discussion. First, by reflecting on my both mentoring and mentee role, and also some of the lessons and well, IPA is about people, and I think we are all, to a certain extent, people's people. Even though I'm behind a computer most of my life, since I'm a researcher, I'm still very much invested and engaged in people, and I found this conversation just really inspiring. And if we don't have other questions, I just wanted to say that I'm thinking that IPA is really the best place for such a mentorship program, because it's multidisciplinary, it's multinational, it's multisectorial. So I think that the diversity that it offers to people is really pretty amazing, and it's not something that you would definitely see in every organization. So this is really an organization. I also think that it's the right size. It's not too big so that you get lost. It's not too small. It's just the right size to really benefit from such a program. And I'm really trying to urge all the people out here in the audience to think about what it is that you would like to get from participating in such a mentorship program. We are starting in Argentina. We will have an in-person meeting, and I hope that many of you will be there. But even if you're not there, there are still going to be opportunities for us to really, I think, move forward this program and benefit from it. So I'm excited, and I will let Kieran also conclude.
Yeah. So thank you. Well, thank you to, first of all, I'll start with Christian for helping us stick handle this whole thing. And he is our main person at the IPA, to Adriana for being our incoming president next year. So, and of course, Dr. Kaslow, you were an amazing sort of keynote today, if you want to call that what you did, and to our three panelists. But Also, I feel very awkward on these Zoom calls because I can't see you. I like to think you're all in the same room as me. So I'm going to go from Vidya to Bernadette to Olga, etc., whoever is on, and pretend that you're all here so you can turn on your cameras, at least for a second or two, so we can see your faces. And please feel free to be in the room with us. I'd love to hear your comments about how you felt about this. You still have 4 or 5 minutes. Please post something on the chat so we can capture your thoughts and comments, your reflections about this. And if you're interested in engaging with any of us, we would love to connect with you. Even if you can't make it to Buenos Aires, we will definitely connect with you. So I invite you to post a comment, and Christian will follow up with each of you. And if you're IPA members, that's great. I'm hoping you will join if you're not, and tell your teams about it and spread the word, because I think that this is not just good for your clinical practice, but it's good for your education, it's good for your academic careers, but also it'll help you in your personal lives. Like, these relationships can be very, very, very meaningful over time if you allow them to grow and nurture them. That's all, and I'll pass the floor over to Adriana for any closing comments that she might have. Over to you, Adriana.
Thank you, everyone. This was such an inspiring session from all of the speakers. Dr. Kaslow, thank you so much for setting the floor for all of us to reflect about mentorship. I'd like to finish with a quote from my father, who was an educator all his life. And he said, "Long and difficult, the way of a precept, short and efficacious, the way of the example." So meaning we lead by example and we inspire by example. So it's just amazing to have such an international community to help each other grow, to help each other be successful. And mentorship is about growing together, learning together. And we really invite you to come and be part of this fabulous professional family, IPA, and to come to Buenos Aires if you can, to participate in this mentorship program in person. But we thank you all for being here. We appreciate your comments, and we hope to see you all in person in Buenos Aires. I think the links are there. Christian, if you want to mention about the most, the links and how to become a member, how to sign up for the annual meeting.
Sure. Yeah, just before everybody, I know people are slowly trickling off here, but we have a couple links in the chat. One is for Congress, any information on Congress you might have about registering or our speakers. If you're interested, we would love to see you there. The second link is to our mentorship program on our website. This program is slowly but surely coming together, and we're doing a big kickoff event in Buenos Aires in person. But after Buenos Aires, everybody will still have an opportunity to participate and sign up and be a part of the full mentorship program. And then the last link is just an evaluation survey to give us some feedback on how you think today's event went. And yeah, we would love to continue to connect, and my email inbox is always open, and I'd be happy to connect you to other IPA members, including the people on this panel as well. So thank you from IPA, and thank you all for being here, and to our panelists and speakers.
Thank you. Leah, anything from you before we close?
Well, just reiterate my thanks to Christian first and foremost, and to the panelists and Dr. Kaslow and Adriana, everyone. It's been great. And I really look forward to the next session that will be in person.
Yeah. So we'll stay connected. This is just the first step. So have a great day, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Take care.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye, Dr. Kaslow. Thank you. Bye,
Bye-bye.
June. Bye, Arlene. Bye, Debanjan.